Okay, so as she said, I'm in Georgia, so it's a little bit different because we're in the southeast, and so we kind of use alfalfa, I guess, a little bit differently. And one of the things that we're doing is using alfalfa-grass mixtures, primarily in Bermuda grass, and so that's what our focus is looking at. We set up a project across 3 states at 6 different locations with the University of Florida and Auburn University. And we're looking at 3 different alfalfa varieties based on the region. So if we're in the northern part of Alabama or Georgia, we're looking at Bulldog 505. The central part there would be Bulldog 805, and then in Florida they're using 805 and a Florida developed variety. And so we're using those alfalfas because we see that those are going to be the most persistent in those areas, but we're also using those because they are grazing type varieties, and that's how we're going to see that our producers are utilizing alfalfa the most in this region. What we don't know is in these mixtures particularly what the harvest frequency needs to be as well as the harvest height. You know, we have recommendations for alfalfa and we have recommendations for Bermuda grass, but how are we going to do this to maintain these stands for a long period of time in grazing specifically? So that's what we've put in some plots. Really the benefit is we've got to somehow start to define what these parameters are so we can really advise our producers as to how they need to manage these mixtures in a grazing situation. So this will be preliminary data. We're doing a couple years of data, and then we plan to translate that into larger grazing studies where we implement these rotations and see if that works. And we do know it will be on a rotational grazing system. We're also developing an extension tool because producers need to have something that they can go out into the field and use. And you know, right now we use a grazing stick, and with grazing recommendations, again, it's specific to Bermuda grass or alfalfa. And so we're trying to create some models that you can use with that to kind of determine what you need to be grazing and stop grazing, again, on those mixtures. And so try to translate that information to something usable for our producers. And then we're also creating some economic decision tools. So currently we have established in Georgia, we established in November of 2017. We had some challenges, and so we had to reestablish our southern location in February of 2018. In Alabama, we established in November. They had a challenge, and so they reestablished in February. And in Florida, we had some challenges as well, so they're going to reestablish this fall. We don't recommend spring establishment, but we did go ahead and try, and we do have some good stands in Alabama and Georgia, and we're actually starting data collection this week in South Georgia. We also have already hired students at both Auburn University and the University of Georgia, and the project itself has already been introduced and presented at Alfalfa in the South workshops. So we are trying to get the information out really in the Southeast to our producers as alfalfa as a new option, and really getting, or as I guess a new option because it's been there for a while. And it also has already been highlighted through workshops and field days. So that's where we're at.